Hi, I'm Philip Briggs. Stay with me today while I show you how I draw this cartoon on my iPad using Procreate. I was in a work meeting the other week, and like most meetings, I was sketching out because as people talk, they inspire some cartoon ideas for me. I sketched this one, but the one that after the meeting kind of caught my eye was this one when we were talking about climbing the career ladder or something similar to that. And you can see people climbing the ladder, but reaching to a point where it may not feel like there's more growth opportunities or you've stretched beyond what you feel like you can do, or it could be many things. I like to try and give my cartoons bigger ideas so that I can use them in multiple areas. So, for example, this one I could use for uncertainty or um, going too far or some ideas kind of like that. So they come to me as I'm looking for cartoon ideas for things. So a lot of times I don't draw cartoons specific to situations unless those situations can expand to capture some kind of bigger idea that I can use it with in a presentation or in writing or something else. So today I'm going to be drawing this cartoon so I can use it in presentation software or in my LinkedIn articles or any place else that needs a digital photo cartoon to expand on the idea and capture people's their eyes as they're scrolling, but also their imaginations because I like to infuse a lot of these cartoons with emotions that people can connect with. Turn this upside down. Now, if we look at the sketch, he's got more action, and I'm actually not liking this so far because when I look at this one, it has a lot more bow and feels more unbalanced. This feels way too static. So after I recorded the first attempt, I realized I was having a hard time getting the action that I captured in the original. And so I decided just to take a picture and import it and work off of that. Whenever I do that, I take a picture with my either my iPad or my phone, and then in Procreate, I insert a photo. And once I have that photo in, I go in and turn the opacity down, and then I'm going to directly ink over those lines. This one is rough enough that I have some opportunities to improve it more to be in line with my usual character. Number one is I originally drew the shoes smaller than I normally do. And everything else, the hands, the fingers, I don't like over here because they feel like they're going down and they should be facing more up. So I do have some areas of improvement in this original that I need to make. But I'm going to work directly with that using my G-Pen clone here. Made it go on the wrong layer. It takes me a few times to get that head shape the way I like it. Then when I go in and do the hair like this, I try and vary the line width between thick like that, thin like that, and medium. So you add more layers of texture in the hair. Otherwise, I'll just go in. If I'm not conscious, I can add way too many thins because they're easy to draw like that. But the thins don't add volume that I'm looking for. So I'll create a new layer. And again, using thick and thin lines, I'll do that. And I'm not liking the way it goes there because I need to establish some wider lines and redo this more carefully to better capture that funnel that comes out like this. And then I want to do the same thing over here to build out that funnel like that. And now that I have that, I can go in and better build out this tornado effect. And I want to see how that's looking. I'm still not super happy with it, but I want to leave it for right now because it's holding me back a little bit. And we'll switch back to this layer here. That's the thing with digital. They're updating, and sometimes their updates can mess with your usual systems and practice. See right here, I'm going back and messing up those fingers again. So I'm going to go back here and be more conscious about the direction they are. And I'm liking that well enough for right now. I'm going to move down to this ladder. And let me look here. I do not like this at all because I can see the back of it. That better. I want to, his face is in front here. I want to add some that go in the back here and come through and delete around the nose and leave just a little bit of white space between that nose line and these motion lines like that. I thought I was going to need to delete part of the ear as these go over, but his ear is not actually behind any of them, so I think that's fine. The fingers here, I want to add just kind of a end thing there, like that. I think that's better. This happens quite a bit to me, where I'm going to merge this down. Merge this one down. But when I'm looking at this, it just doesn't have the same dynamic as the original sketch. And I've talked to other people, and this is kind of a frequent thing because this captures so much of the sketchiness and the movement of the hand and so much more. And when I clean it up, a lot of that sketchiness and that dynamic movement that was in the original sketch just doesn't end up in the final cartoon. And it's fine, but this is a lot of times why I actually like my rough sketches better than my finished cartoons. Let's go on to the coloring. When I color, I use the same process every time because it speeds things up for me. Okay, I have all the base colors in, and now I'm going to work on highlights and shades. And to do that, I lock in the opacity of all these layers. And the reason I do that is as I shade, I don't have to worry about staying in lines or erasing lines. It will only affect the paint that's on the screen. Anything that's not colored on here, as I go over it with shading and highlighting, will not be affected. And I use a dark blue to fill in my shading. And they've gotten rid of the acrylic brush that I have always used for shading. So I've been working with this Bill Watterson watercolor, and it gives it a different look and feel to things. And I'm trying to decide if I like it or not. But I just go in. This is actually set to get darker with more pressure I put on it. And so if I just want to add a little bit of shading at a time, I barely touch it and build it up in layers. If I want to add a bunch at once, then I push harder down. And then add some highlights. And a painting technique is to use common colors throughout the painting so that those colors repeat and kind of bring everything together. And the color I like to use to do that is this kind of orangey, pinky red color here. And so I will typically go through and add it all over, even on these blues, in order to make everything kind of blend together better. And then when I come to the face, I'm just using some light strokes at first to build up that round texture, and then I'll come through, maybe add just a little bit more pressure. And then for his cheeks, I use this pink color here. And again, I'm going to just kind of dab it lightly and slowly build up that color. This brush is a little bit bigger than what I want, so let me undo that. And I'm going to reduce the size of the brush so it stays more right where I want it. And then for these fingers, I'm going to go through and add just a touch of the color texture also. And these I left white because I want to go in on a different layer and build up that arm movement a little bit at a time to capture that. I'll have to get rid of that quick filter too. So we build like that. I want a little bit of that red from the shirt to blend in here. So I'll add in a little bit of that. And now it looks like it's in motion. You can see light through, and his hands are moving right here. Let me add in the lighter color here to capture that, and add in the shading color a little bit on the bottom, like that. Oh, I didn't mean to get so far below, so I'm gonna erase that. And then come through and put it not so deep there. That got too dark, so let me go in here with, I would argue coloring is not my strong point. I want to make his eyes white. I use kind of a warmer white for the eyes instead of a pure white. Like that. And I never leave these blank to let the page color come through, because sometimes I will want to put this on the colored paper or something like that. And I want to, no matter why I put it on, I want those eyes to be white. Now then, on this layer, I also had the tongue, and I want to go in and shade the tongue a little bit. And put just a tiny bit of that highlight there. And then moving on to the shirt, I'm going to shade. And I used quite a bit of pressure on that first one just to get that color down. And now I've lightened it up so it's not adding so much shading. Like that. I want to add some highlights, which is this color. And I'm dabbing it on like that, and then moving on to the pants that dance. I'm going to add in the shading like this. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of highlight to put that, blend that in together. And I also am going to put some of this darker shirt red in here, because that's another color, a good color to get those all lined up. And I will also go in on the shirt and take that color of his pants and barely add just a few of those in there. That's a little bit more than I want, so I'll tone it down with the dark here again. And then on the shoes, I'm going to add just a tad bit of that shirt red there too. So that's how I built up all these colors so that everything kind of goes together. I'm repeating those colors, those red and lighter red colors throughout, so that everything blends together and looks like it's the same color family. Now I'll move on to the ladder and add in the shading. Make sure I have the right brushes selected. When I look at it, this ladder looks very different than this because I haven't yet added in those blend colors that join everything together. And then finally, for the grass below, I want to add in some shadows here. And I'll keep this grass really, really simple like this. Usually I'll make more grass, but I don't want the grass to be so heavy it's making everybody look down at the ground. I just want people to have a suggestion of what's underneath. So I'm liking this pretty well. Another brush they got rid of that I can't find in the new update creates dots, and so I've been experimenting with this magic grain. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I'm gonna come in and I want to establish a new layer. See, that's way too dark. There we go. That's better. But this just adds to the dynamic feeling of the whole scene to me. And I'm going to put a little bit of brown here for the shoes at the bottom. And then the last thing I want to do is, let me try this. I've been trying some different brushes with this update. But I want to see how this looks. Just adding a little bit of color behind it so it's not so bright white. And I'm putting this on a different layer, so if I ever want to export this to use it on a non-white paper or something like that, I can just turn that layer off and do that. I don't like that color that much. Now I'm looking at it. Let me try a blue here. So I think that's good. The only other thing, as he's standing up here, I'm looking at it, that I didn't include in the original, is some sweat coming off. So I'm going to try and see how that would look. I'm going to put it on a different layer so it's easy to get rid of if I don't like it. And now the last thing I do is go through. I want to see if those dots are really adding. Yeah, it's not like the old one used to be. I think it adds too much visual noise to it. So I'm going to get rid of that and leave it like this.